Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures,
the podcast that fuels your passion for obstacle course racing, running, and adventure.
Since 2017, we have released weekly episodes for the seasoned pros,
weekend warriors, and everything in between.
We discuss the industry news, travel for live coverage,
and interview athletes and key voices in the athletic community.
We cover it all, from fundraising events, personal trials,
to world records, FKTs, and world championships.
Standing on the corner.
Now let's get started with your hosts.
Lost all my clothes.
Michael Stefano and Katelyn Ritter.
Hey guys, it's Mike.
And Katelyn.
And Katelyn left me for New Jersey. This has been a while since we've had to do this, I was going to say via telehealth. Wow. Things have changed. Via Zoom.
I'm literally driving in the car right now.
Yeah, so I guess... Oh, no, you're not driving.
No, I'm a passenger in the car.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
No, I don't know if we're joking or not.
I thought you said you pulled over at a Starbucks. You specifically said that.
I did, but then the police came and I got nervous and I left. I didn't want them to be like, what are you doing?
Wild.
I thought I was just trying to record a podcast.
Oh, I'd rather you be pulled over, but I guess you can talk about how your weekend was.
It was good. My mom and I went to Long Branch, New Jersey to Seven Presidents Beach. And yeah, we had great weather, great time. And tomorrow I have to unfortunately drive back to Massachusetts and become a teacher again.
Mm-hmm. You still have another week, so you're kind of fine, kid.
Yeah, but I feel like I have so much to do.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Also, Long Branch is where the original
one of the original pliables.
Thank you. I'm so glad you were able to figure out what I was talking about. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Not when they had their push cart, but push cart was I think Asbury Park.
Gotcha. Oh, that's pretty cool. I know where that place is as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, my weekend was pretty good too. I had Lucy, so I had to entertain her and just trying to teach her the adventure button, which she's afraid of, which is the last thing that I want, but went to take her to the trails, went to take her to Home Depot, but she picked Crate instead. So I took her to the tennis court and we did Lake Rico today. So she's been busy. She's passed out in our bed under the covers right now, which is so cute.
So when I come home, where am I going to sleep?
That is a wonderful question.
Has she slept with you every night?
Every night. Yep.
Every night. Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm only just starting to make progress and trying to sleep in the middle of the bed. So when I lose yardage, I'm not falling off the bed.
That's fair.
Let's give a shout out to our sponsors, Katelyn.
Shout out Mudgear. Use code ADVENTURE for 15% off your Mudgear purchase. And Caterpie. Use code OCR Report 20 for 20% off your Caterpie purchase.
Perfect. We're going to thank the $5+ patron supporters, which Katelyn isn't able to see. So I will thank Jason Dupree, Samantha Thompson, Bradley Keel, Charlotte Engelman, Aaron Grindstaff, Cheryl Miller, Jessica Johnson, Christopher Hoover, Kevin Gregory Jr., Brent George, Logan Nagel, Seth Renderconnect, Steve Bacon, Robert Landman, and Jules Estes. Thank you so much for the support. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. And to the OCR Report for being a great home for us on the internet.
And to Will Hicks.
The Podfather. Check it out over at theocrreport.com. I didn't put anything witty with what's been going on in that group text.
Oh, Jack sent Will an amazing gift.
That's got to be sarcasm.
No, for reals.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. If I could buy one for you, I would, but it's a one of a kind.
Is this not public?
I don't think so. You'll have to go to the group chat and look.
Okay, cool. And a shout out to our sponsored athletes. Katelyn, can you name them with the change?
I can name Kelly Sullivan.
Yep. Haven't seen her in way too long.
Kevin Gregory Jr.
Yep. Katelyn, you made a note. Deca Fit Raleigh 4-person co-ed teams, first and second place. Awesome.
Yep. And Joshua Reed.
Yep. I saw that he's not feeling so well. I have to reach out to him and see what's been going on with him.
And our new sponsored athlete, are we debuting this?
I think we did last week.
Oh, are we double debuting this?
Yes.
Joe Rocco.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't give him the fanfare that he deserved last week. But yeah, super excited that he's joined us. He's a perfect representation of what we love in the sport, whether it be OCR or hybrid fitness. He's just an all-around great dude. And so, yeah, awesome. I also saw that he posted, I think it was a torn labrum And so he's trying to figure out like the next steps from here. But he's said he's feeling better, but I hope he takes care of it. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Caitlin, we have a poll of the week that you posted, which I appreciate, but it did kind of play you dirty.
It did. It played me so dirty. It was, did you know that Harrison Ford plays both Han Solo and Indiana Jones?
And 96% of people knew this. And who was the 4%, Caitlin?
Just me.
Just you. Yeah, we were watching Indiana Jones, and she's like, who's that actor? And I'm like, oh, that's like John Rice Davies or whatever. Like, that's Gimli. And who's that one? Oh, that's Harrison Ford. And she's like, oh, he's good looking, blah, blah, blah. And then like 3/4 of the way, I'm like, yeah, that's also Han Solo. And it blew her mind.
Yeah. Like, actually blow my mind. Like, not just me being like, haha, I just know. Like, I had no idea.
Well, I've got good news for you, Caitlin, because I have been watching a movie every day while you've been gone to try to like get caught up on things I was supposed to watch.
Yeah.
And one of them I almost watched without you, but I saw it's on our movie list. It also has Harrison Ford in it.
What movie?
Oh, crap. Blade Runner?
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me Indiana Jones 2 through 4.
Oh, no, we would just watch the first 3, I think. And I don't think that's too much of a hot take.
Okay.
Meme of the week. I see that there's a link, so I don't know if this is the same one or a different one.
It's new. I did my part of the show notes this week.
Great. For some reason, it's loading a post from Katie Knight. Let me try that again. Instagram is being wild. Okay, I'm seeing a post by Bobo Petrus. And
Sure.
It says the typical runner's mindset. And it is a circle and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A sixth of the circle is it's 40 degrees and full sun. I'm going for a run. Another sixth is it's raining. I'm going for a run. Another is on holiday, still going for a run. A fourth one is it's negative 10 degrees and I'm going for a run. Another one, my throat hurts and I'm going for a run. And my legs are hurting. I'm going for a run. And then the other half is my watch is dead. I'm not going anywhere. That's a good one.
Thank you. Well, you didn't like the last one, so I had to make sure it was a good one.
You stepped it up. I see that you have a badass of the week. It's Miguel Fiera Pinto. Do you remember enough to talk about her?
Yeah, so it's a man, and he has I can't remember if it was a twin or a brother that is special needs and like not mobile, and the special needs sibling has always wanted to do an Ironman, so he's tethered the special needs sibling to him and completed an Ironman together.
Oh, hell yeah, yeah. So the sibling has cerebral palsy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool. We'll have to link that down below as well.
Yes.
We'll get to some quick news, starting with the Leonsky Memorial Wave. So I heard a little bit about this on the UK OCR podcast, that there was this man who died. Okay, Leon Hardwick. He went by the name Leonsky. He was battling with, what was it? Oh, prostate cancer. It was stage 4, so he knew the outlook was grim. And Upscale Racing Media took this photo and did an interview with Leonsky 4 summers ago. We lost him last week. There's a memorial wave for him at Tough Mudder London South on September 20th if you want to join. So it's a post, and I specifically remember hearing this interview too. This was a long time ago, 4 years, as he said. But just talking about like the importance of living life and not being afraid of death. And yeah, it kind of makes me think of Ryland Shaddagg too.
Yeah. What's the Lord Huron lyric? Live until you die.
Oh yeah, may you live until you die. Yeah. I also saw this one too, where Brian Reynolds, is the first double amputee to finish the Leadville 100, which is insane. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now we're going to get to a couple podiums. I wasn't able to find this before, but honestly, I didn't do the best job looking. This is the World Obstacle OCR World Championships. So for the 3K, I'll do the top 5 men, then women. In 5th place, Tobias Jaeger. 4th, Daniel Ekstrom. 3rd, Frank Ostrom. 2nd, Stein Legrand. And at 1st, Goncalo Prudencio. Ooh, I don't recognize that flag, which is exciting. And for the ladies, in 5th, Henriette Bardram. In 4th, Nicole Miracle. Alyssa Petrova took 3rd. Beatrice Moyen Silvestre took 2nd. And Elsa Ripschara took 1st.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't recognize those names, which is exciting. So that was the 3K, and now we have the standard. And by those names, I mean first. Okay, for standard women, In fifth was Svetlana Flipovich. Fourth was Beatriz Rubio. Third, Ulrike Evanson. Second, Nicole Miracle. And first, Elsa Ripschara. And for the men, in fifth, Adrian Martin. Fourth, Giancarlo Prudencio. Third, Yesterday Here. Second, Anung Vicken. Oh, I don't know that one. And first, Stein Legrand. So congratulations to all of them.
Congratulations.
Secret link, let's fire them down below. So let's get to what this episode is all about. So a couple episodes ago, we mentioned the GoFundMe to help lessen the financial impact of Kris Rugloski competing in an endurance horse race in Mongolia. We followed up with her multi-day adventure via her Instagram stories, and then I reached out and wanted to see if she wanted to come on the show to talk about it because I thought it sounded really, really interesting. Also, there's other big life changes going on with her, and I figured it'd be a good time to have her on the show. So we discussed
100%.
Yeah, we discussed her background with horses, her adventure in Mongolia, her upcoming move to Canada, and much, much more. So let's get to it. We'll start with your name and where you're from.
My name is Kris, and I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Awesome. So last time I saw you, we were at World Toughest Mudder, in full circle, helping out a whole bunch of people with their pit crew, running a couple laps. And I just feel like a lot has happened in just that short year. So what have you been up to lately?
Well, since then, I got engaged.
Congratulations.
And then it's just been life. But in 4 days, I will be moving to Canada. So that's kind of the next. But in between all that, I've been a lot more on the high rock scene than really an OCR, except for in the summer. I like to do fun things. And so I did a 100-miler a few weeks ago, and then immediately followed that with a 1,000-kilometer horseback ride across Mongolia. So
amazing.
Just trying to stay busy,
Yeah, always. A lot to unpack there, and also some other things that you didn't mention. You got your degree in psychology, right?
That too. I also graduated college. Yes.
Talk about that a little bit too. I think you said you're the first in your family to do that.
Yeah. I grew up in a kind of subculture of subcultures, and college. I mean, I regardless of where you come from, I think college is one of those, it does not have to be a given. It's not necessary. You don't need it.
Right.
But in the culture that I grew up in, it was very much frowned upon, and especially for women, under the kind of the idea, the mindset there was that women are just going to be having kids and raising a family. So what on earth would you do with a college degree? And that was kind of the culture that I was in as a, teenager, young adult. And I never really, I was never bought into it, but it was just one of those things. Then when it came to oh, do I go to college? There was nothing set up for me in that direction. I did do one semester of college just to prove that because I was also homeschooled. So I had a bit of I don't know if I actually have an education. So when I was 19, 20, I did one semester of college just to prove that I could get into college, period. But then there wasn't really anything that I was wanting to pursue that needed a college degree. So I was I'm just going to go to work. So I've worked for the past 10 years. And then it was just in the past, it was actually when I started dating Austin long distance about 2.5 years ago that I was well, this will be long distance for quite a while, because we knew we weren't moving anything. Nobody was moving anywhere for a couple of years. And I thought then what do I want to do before kind of moving on to the next step? And college was it. So I did it online through Western Governors University. It's entirely online. And it was actually a really neat program. The way they do it is that you pay for a 6-month term. And you start with 4 classes, but you do just one class at a time. So once you complete all the assignments, take all the tests for that class, you move on to the next. And if you complete the 4 in less than the 6 months, you can add as many as you want without adding on any additional cost. So I did a very accelerated version of that, where I just kind of knocked out the classes as quickly as I could and kept on doing so it was a lot of classes every semester. But I really enjoyed it. That's one of the biggest benefits of being homeschooled is I'm very self-motivated and self-taught, and I really enjoyed it. Psychology has been something I've just been personally interested in for the past 10 years. So to actually get that accredited was really fun.
Yeah.
In all of the psychology specific classes, most of the studies and all the different takes on the studies and the, shortcomings that I was already very familiar with so much of it. It was really fun to kind of revisit all of it and refresh. And then now it's accredited. There was also think it was a health and one health class that I read, because some of them you have to complete assignments. Others of them you can basically like test out of. You read all the materials and then you test out of it. And if you pass the test, then you're done. And so for that health one, I started looking at the materials and I was like, I know all of this. I can just take the test. So that one was a fun one. But yeah, it was a really great experience. And I really appreciate the way Western Governors University set that up for like adult learners. It was the perfect scenario for me. So I did it in about 18 months. And through racing, travel, I bought internet on international flights more than I ever have before, and got up before working out to study several times. So it was a lot to fit in, but I really enjoyed kind of the other, kind of the balance that it brought to my life. So I enjoyed it.
It's definitely a different kind of accomplishment. So when we saw that you got your degree, we're like, oh, that's exciting. And then we saw like the details of it, of how important it was like to do that. I was super, super excited. And psychology is great too. I affectionately call it like the junk drawer, because there's so many things you can do with it. Like I majored in psychology. I thought I was going to work with the elderly. I work with autistic kids, and that's what I've done for the past decade plus, and I love it. But there's like so many things you can do to like help people or catch bad guys. Like there's so many things you can do out there. So and you don't even have to use it. But yeah, it's great.
But just my thought was, if I'm going to study something, it's going to be psychology, and studying, like you said, it will benefit you in literally anything you do. And the directions you can go with that are kind of endless. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another thing was, so you were very public about your like babysitting, nannying job. And then that's kind of come to a close too. I feel like you watched those kids for like 4 or 5 years. So that coming to an end, how's that change?
I've been with this family for over 4 years now. They're like family to me. It's actually, I feel like I'm going to be emotional, but, it's really cool to have this is my work, this is my job. But it's become so much more than that, because, these parents are like people that I now like really look up to, and they're like, they feel like family. The kid's mom feels like my sister, and like, she's somebody that I've talked to every day for the past 4 years. And I told her, I was like, what are we going to do? We're not here anymore. The kids have been it's been like a big change for them. My job ended before I left for Mongolia, but now I'm back for a week, like packing everything up, because I move on Monday. And so I wanted to take each of the kids out for a little ice cream date individually. And it was actually really fun. I kind of pulled up some questions of like things I wanted to chat with them about. And so my 7-year-old, I asked her, I was like, what's something you learned from me while I was your nanny? And her answer was that it's not just about making money. And I was like, she goes, it's not just about making money. She goes, it's about making friends. And she goes, and then we get to meet your friends. So I don't really know how she got there, but her thing, what I kind of took from it is that like, she's gathered from me that being a nanny is not just about making money, but I have friends, and then I've had a lot of friends come and visit and meet them, and several, especially like my little sister and some of my younger friends, are now some of my kids' favorite people. And so that was her thing, was like, we wouldn't have been able to meet several of these people if it weren't for me. So it's just been really neat to have them. Well, that, and like going hiking and going running, like they've met and they're all just Chris's friends, and I just know, I guess that's their only concept of me outside of being a nanny, is through the friends that I bring around. But it's been really neat to just kind of like live my life with them for the past 4 years. And it's kind of crazy to think it's coming to an end.
Right.
Or it has come to an end.
There's a lot of things like, it's not the best of times for a few reasons right now, but also I was watching a movie that was like set back further, and it's kind of devastating to think that like back in the day, there would be no way to reconnect with those people. Like now, at least we have Zoom, we have FaceTime, we have all these things. And I'm so grateful for that, because before it'd be like goodbye forever, and like you could like send mail or something. Like it's just crazy to think. So like at least there's that, but still I'm sure that's going to be a big change for you.
Yeah. And travel is so much easier. I mean, there's just so much where I mean, they will forever be a pretty big part of my life. But yeah, you're right. We are in a very great time of being able to like, I know that I'll know them forever. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the Mongolian horse race. That definitely caught my attention. When did you first find out about this event?
So I found out 6 years ago, I met some people in I was living in South Texas at the time, and the horse people around there kind of the thing that they do, the people that I met was endurance. And I'd never heard of endurance riding really before. But they do 25, 50, 100 miles on horseback. And I kind of got into, I had a friend that wanted me to ride her horse. And so I started doing a few of those. I did a 25 miler, I did several 50 milers, and I was like, this is fun. My thought was like, I'm an endurance athlete. And so I'm like, these horses are very impressive endurance athletes, and the things that they're able to do when they're not like consciously making the decision, I was like, this is pretty neat. Like, and I feel like it just went along with like, I run endurance and now I ride endurance too. And somewhere I want to say it was sometime in about the past 4 years, my friend there mentioned they've known several people that have gone to do this Mongol Derby. And she mentioned that there's this crazy race in Mongolia. It's 1,000 kilometers. The biggest things I heard from them was that everybody gets sick and throws up and gets food poisoning because the food and water is so different. But she like mentioned it. And so I was like, wait, what is this called? So I looked it up, and sometime in the past 2 to 4 years. And I immediately was like, oh, this is cool. I got to do this. And it went along with the whole idea of like, these horses are such impressive endurance athletes, and so am I. And so what could go wrong, I guess. I applied for it initially, I think it was like 2 years ago, and I was going to do it last year because you kind of have to get in a year in advance. But then it got bumped to this year. So since 2024, I've known I'm going to do this. I just didn't quite know when.
Yeah. What's your background with like horses too? So growing up in Texas, like were you on like a farm? Like were you always riding horses?
I'm a classic horse girl, always wanted to ride horses, but we never really had the opportunity to until I turned like 18 and started working. And my experience with horses is the first barn that I started working at was just mucking out stalls. And then I got to ride a few of the horses there, like for their owners. And then I also worked at a reining barn, which is another kind of horse training. And got like, I think maybe I was able to ride some of their horses. And those are like really nice, high quality horses, like well-bred horses with a lot of really good training on them. And I feel like a lot of my riding style almost has come from that. So I worked there for about 6 months, and I was able to ride some of their horses and get a little bit of, watching them, got a lot of knowledge, but it was more of, I was like saddling their horses and unsaddling their horses. So I was a very like bottom of the totem pole, just putting in the manual work in exchange and getting a chance to ride every once in a while. From there, I worked at another barn where I was feeding their horses morning and evening. And at that barn, I was able to ride a bunch of their horses. And so that's when I really started riding a lot more. And with most of them, I just hop on bareback, and they had a lot of property. So I just go ride on the property as much as I could. And then through that barn, in 2017 or 18, I think it was 2017, I got a job out east working at a eventing barn. And that is on the other side of the spectrum from Western riding. It's a very like regulated, like it's a very different style of riding, but this is a lot of like the show jumping. They're jumping over stuff. It's a lot more, or it's a very like gutsy way of riding, but just a different approach, I guess. So I worked there for a summer, and that was kind of the end of horses for me, when I realized like that's not sustainable for me. Like I can't make money in this, and I don't have the background and the backing to like be able to do this. So that all ended in like 2019, and I headed back to Texas, and that's where that's when I kind of fell in with the endurance people. And so that's for the last 6 years. I guess for 3 years there in Texas, I rode with my endurance friend probably 3 times a week. And that was, again, just long rides along the beach. And then sometimes doing the races, the 25, 50-mile races. And then I moved out here to Colorado and wasn't really able to ride for 2 years until 2 years ago, my friend gave me her horse that I had been riding a lot. So the past 2 years has been just a lot of riding that horse. So I guess kind of to sum it up, it's just been literally riding any chance that I can get. I've never paid for any lessons, but I have worked really hard to be able to ride as much as I possibly can. And I think the biggest thing for me is like, I don't know, I just feel a very strong affinity for it. I love to ride. I feel like I was born to ride. And I feel like because of the riding that I've done, it has not been like neat and tied with a bow. It's been very just like ride what you can when you can and figure it out. And that was that's exactly what Mongolia is. And so it was really fun because, there were 40 riders from all over the world, and they all come from different backgrounds. And seeing it was actually really cool because nobody questioned where I came from or like what my riding pedigree is. I guarantee you it is, well, I would say probably, I mean, some of the younger girls, I mean, everybody's been riding longer and probably riding more, but I would say, I don't know, I mean, I've ridden plenty, and I've ridden exactly what I needed to ride to do well in Mongolia. And yeah, so it's really cool to be the horse world. Like, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of knowledge, and it takes a lot to be good at it. And so the a lot of the environment there is very like a little bit testy. Like, do you actually have what it takes, and are you actually good enough? And that's because it does take a lot, and you do have to be very good to succeed. But I feel like Mongolia kind of stripped it down to like, can you get on a new horse and ride it and handle it along with, navigating and surviving Mongolia? And yeah, it was 100% my best, like, or the coolest horse experience, coming from zero background of horses and facing a lot of the kind of like I can't think, it's not stigmatism, but
stigma.
The stigma.
Yeah,
there you go.
Right.
A lot of I feel like I've faced quite a bit of stigma trying to like get into the horse world without all of that. Yeah, so that was it felt it felt very full circle from like where I come from, of like, just let me ride. I don't care if they're half wild. I don't take care of it. Like, I just want to ride. And I got to just ride. And yeah.
So I've always loved animals. Horses have always been like super fascinating to me, but I never had the opportunity to ride one until like high school, when I was out in Oregon visiting some family. They're like, all right, get on. And that's when I realized they can be kind of scary because that they're huge, and like one kick would like end you. So it's like obviously like respecting the animal, not approaching from behind and all that stuff. But I just want to highlight, like, these are like, I don't know, there's definitely some people that like have not actually seen a horse in person, but they're big. Like, obviously you can ride on them. So I just want to highlight the fact that like, and when I saw that these were like somewhat half broken in, half like wild horses, I'm like, that is extra crazy.
Yeah.
So I guess starting, you sign up for this event, you get chosen for it. How was the travel to Mongolia? Like, what was the planning going into all this? Because it's not very, not a very well-traveled place, I guess.
No, it's not. And honestly, I think that's one of the best things about it. I've never thought of going to Mongolia. I've never thought of like, Mongolia is just not, people go to Thailand, people go to China, people go to Japan, people don't go to Mongolia. And now I am here to say like, no, don't ever go. It's terrible because there's no tourists there. It's just beautiful. But yeah, the travel getting there, again, people go to China, people go to Japan, people go to all these places, and it's no different than that, except that I flew straight from Denver to Istanbul, Turkey. And then I had a flight from there to Ulaanbaatar. But my flight was so delayed leaving Denver that I missed my connection and had to spend an entire day in Turkey because there's only one flight every 24 hours that goes direct from Istanbul to Ulaanbaatar. Ulaanbaatar is the city in Mongolia. And from what I understand, half of the population lives in the city, which is about 1.5 million, maybe, or I might be wrong on the number, but half of the population is there in Ulaanbaatar, and then the other half is scattered throughout the country. And I also heard, again, these are not like, don't quote me on them, but I heard that the entire population of Mongolia is the population of Wyoming. So for a little bit of like context, Wyoming is a very sparsely populated state, and that is the same as the population of Mongolia. So yeah, Mongolia is just like untapped, absolute beauty. What I keep on, and like several of us are saying, is like, it reminded me of Wyoming or Montana, but with no fences. So you can just go wherever you want. It's a lot of like wide open plains and fields, but then you have little mountain ranges and like, and different, these, little passes with all these different valleys. Like, it was just beautiful. And it's really cool because it is a very, what do you call it? it's like a ranching culture. So there's sheep and goats and horses and cows and like all these herds, but there's no fences. And so it's just like open range everywhere. And
Wild.
yeah, it was just unreal. I got there and I was like, this is incredible. I'm like, why is everybody not in Mongolia? And I'm like, stay away, but I want to go back.
I mean, that's one hell of a country to check off. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What, I guess, like, what's the history of this race? Like, why does this take place in Mongolia?
It is loosely following, well, I don't, it's very much, so Mongolia is a very horse central culture.
Okay.
Because of Genghis Khan and all of his, honestly, his influence on Mongolia. Like Mongolia is Genghis Khan, and like, but his three manly sports are wrestling, archery, and horseback riding. And so those horses are so central to Mongolia and Mongolian culture, that's like, I would say, yeah, everybody, the racing, their racing there is not like on a racetrack, it's across the steppe. And so these horses are like bred and raised to, I mean, they have to survive, again, like free range on the steppe, but they're also, I read somewhere they're like one of the like cleanest bloodlines because their horse culture runs so deep. They have been breeding these horses. Again, so many of like Western society breeds horses for specific reasons. And so we kind of like specialize these horses in different categories. And I feel like these horses are just bred to be Mongolian horses, which is just like capable, athletic, fast, strong. And they're very, like they're very like athletic and agile. And they have to be because, I mean, they're free ranging. And so much of like, there's gophers everywhere, there's rocks, there's sandbits, like, and the way these horses just cover terrain, like they know how to cover terrain in that, in that country. And it's just, it's so impressive how perfectly bred they are to survive and thrive in their environment. It was really cool.
That's awesome. What are the rules for this event? Like, obviously there's a start line, there's a finish line. Like, obviously you can't mark out the course. How do you know you were going the right direction? Like, what's the rules for this?
I think it's actually 2 days before we start, we are given the course. It's different every year. This year they decided to do kind of a figure 8 with the course. And the way the course is set up is there are, I think almost every year, for sure this year, there are 28 horse stations. And you select a horse at the start finish, and each of these horse stations are marked on a map. And then we also have a GPS device with them, the coordinates inputted as waypoints. And so using this set of maps to kind of see the full course and kind of you loosely map a route. You also have this GPS device that has your like real-time location most of the time. They were decent, but not perfect. All of these maps and the maps on the GPS device are 30-year-old maps. So they are not accurate at all. So there was a lot of like, there's a road there and there's no road. And then we're getting on a road that is not on the map. So that kind of added to be like, you just have to kind of read the terrain and go. But yeah, the distance between each of these horse stations is about, it's like 20 to 25 miles, which is, I think like 35K-ish. And so you basically set the next point that you're going to, you figure out the best route there based on the direction you're headed, where it is, and like based on the terrain. And then once you get to that horse station, they're really in all horse endurance, they're really big on like the horse did not choose this. So we have to make sure the horses stay healthy. Essentially, if you run a horse when you get into the horse station, when you check in, you have 30 minutes for your horse to pulse down. What that means is their heart rate drops to a reasonable resting heart rate. So basically, if you ran your horse too hard and made it work harder than it's fit enough, it will not drop to a normal resting heart rate within 30 minutes. And so that's I feel like is one of the biggest rules is if your horse does not pulse down in that 30 minutes, you are hit with a 2-hour penalty, meaning you have to just sit there at that horse station for 2 hours and basically just think about what you've done. So you're navigating between each of these horse stations and making sure that you bring your horse to that next station in good health. And then a kind of an added thing too was some of them, in between each horse station, there would be some waypoints, which are basically like pins you have to go hit before you can go to the horse station. So they kind of direct your route some in that sense, where you can't just go direct from one horse. Like you have to hit certain points. So sometimes they would want us to like go over a certain mountain pass. And so you have to go up a certain valley to hit that pass before that you can then go hit the horse station. I guess the other big rule is like you are only allowed to bring 5 kilograms, which is about 11 pounds of gear with you.
Okay.
And that is excluding water and excluding like your navigation gear. But any kind of, you have to bring your own sleeping materials, any food that you want, your obviously like personal toothbrush, toothpaste. And I don't know, that's all I really brought. But because you're limited, clothing, you can't really bring any clothing.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're limited to that. And like, obviously you need a sleeping bag, you need a sleeping pad. You're left with without a lot of the comforts of home. So it's just kind of like maybe a change of underwear, a sleeping bag, a sleeping pad. And then like I had in my backpack, like water, like you bring water that's not included in that weight. What was really neat though, is each of these horse stations are basically like families that host this horse station. The horses are collected from herders all over the country. Each herder probably provides, the numbers I saw were kind of between 8 to 14 horses. So they're sourced, I believe it's like 1,400 horses that we use throughout this, because there's 40 riders that are riding 30 different horses each. So I guess that's 1,200. But they're sourced from all these different herder families. And so, yeah, the organization that went into this was so impressive to me. But each of these horse stations are hosted by a herding family. And so a part of their like contract is they have to provide us with like boiled water, and then and a gear to sleep in where we can roll out our sleeping pads and mats. And then they give us food. And the food, some people got tired of the food. Some people, it didn't sit well with their stomachs. I loved it. Like I could have eaten that food all day, every day. For breakfast, it was milk rice. Like it was like rice cooked in milk. It was like a rice cereal. It was so good.
Yeah.
Lunches, they did a lot of, there's a name for them that starts with an H, but I kind of forget what it is. But basically empanadas, little like dough pockets with either meat or potatoes in them. Were so good. I brought those on the road with me all the time. And then they had fried dough, various shapes, but it's basically like slightly more substantial donuts. Like it's the same concept as donuts, but it's more like bread that's fried. So they were really good. Just like, it's like kind of good tasting bread, basically, that would last longer. Like I would bring that in my pack with me. And then they would often do like a stir fry, either rice or noodles with like some kind of meat and veggies mixed in. And then a lot of times for dinner, there would be some kind of a soup with either rice or noodles or whatever in it. It was so good. There's a lot of lamb, which a lot of people got tired of. And there was a lot of, I guess, like a lot of just breads and rices and like dense foods. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
And it was really neat to just kind of like eat their food. And like, yeah, it was all very substantial and I felt great, rode great. It was awesome.
Yeah. So super glad to hear like how close they pay attention to like the horse's health and safety and everything like that. Cause I'm not too sure, but like, obviously this is a big part of their culture. They want to make sure that remains intact, but that's a cool way to do it. I never really thought about that. What does the horse have for nutrition? I know this is kind of a stupid question, but like what did you bring for them?
They just eat grass.
Okay, that's it.
They just eat grass and they drink water. Before we started, one of the translators was kind of like because they did several, we had like 2 days of training, and part of that was like, here's these horses, here's how they work, here's how you should interact with them, a lot of the local customs, and then like, all these different things. But his line was, he said, the horses are wild because the grass that they eat is wild. It's the fire inside them. And I was like, that's some science right there.
Right.
But yeah, they just graze. Something that's interesting is horses here, we have to trim their hooves because their hooves grow like fingernails and they don't move enough to keep them down. We also have to float their teeth, which is basically like you have to grate down their teeth so they don't get too long and they can't eat well. We have to do that here.
Wow. Okay.
But over there, those horses graze all day long and run so much that they do not trim hooves and they don't have to take care of their teeth, which again is the things that I love about like these horses are actually just being horses. There were definitely some horses' hooves that needed some trimming where I'm like, they're just not, but it was really neat because they're all barefoot, meaning they don't have shoes on. The shoes are typically for like performance in like in Western and like rodeo stuff, the shoes give more traction and they're able to be more functional. So there's no shoes, and all the horses are barefoot. But again, and a lot of people here don't let the horses go barefoot because their horses' feet are too tender and they'll get like lame from stepping on a rock. Those horses there do not care. They run everywhere, anywhere they want. But yeah, the horses are let out to graze overnight. And then every morning at like 6, by 5 or 6, the herders would go and catch all the ones that were going to ride that day and put them on the horse line. And then they're really big while you're riding. And this is big in endurance here in the States. Eating and drinking is what's going to keep their heart rate down and like keep their system basically running well. And so while riding, there's a lot of stretches where you're galloping full out, but there's a lot of times like you have to give them walk breaks. And to encourage them, like you let them graze and you encourage them to drink water anywhere you find it on course. So yeah, the horses pretty much take care of themselves, but you definitely want to let them eat and drink any and all chances.
That makes sense. Weird side tangent. You compared like the horse's hooves as like fingernails. Putting the horseshoes on, is that why like it doesn't hurt, or like how does that hold?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like very thick fingernails, obviously. Yeah.
Right.
But it's fingernail material where they don't actually have feeling in it.
Okay, that's good.
But it is like the other parts of the hoof are very sensitive. So that's the shoes kind of go along the insensitive part and protect. The frog is the bottom of the hoof, and that is very sensitive. And the hoof like grows around it and protects it. But if the frog is what's very the bottom of the foot, I don't know, it's a very sensitive part of their foot. So
interesting.
You kind of have both going on there.
So obviously with these like semi-wild horses, there's plenty of things that can go wrong. One of the stories that you posted that really stuck out to me was you running. And you're like, oh, the horse like got away from me for a little bit. I think it's like 3K, 5K down this way. I'm going to run and catch up to him. What the hell happened?
Yeah. So these horses are and this was only the second day. I feel like by probably like day 7 or 8, I was thinking about it and I was like, if I had that horse now, I would not have come off of him. Like I just, horses here are they're very broken. They're very like, they yield to humans very much. So when you put pressure on them, they give. When you, they're just very like well-trained and you can control them a lot. One of the big things with horses here is you want to control their back end. Like you want to, instead of just dragging around by their mouth, like by the reins, the bit, you want to have control of their back end. And so we use our legs a lot and we really like control their, like all four legs of the horse, basically. In Mongolia, it is just their mouth. All you have is their mouth and you have some control with that. So there is no like, you're not controlling any other part of the horse. You basically just kind of have to like steer it the direction you want and it goes. So all that to say like this horse, so I found out through riding for 10 days that the closer you keep their hands, you almost put your hands like up in between their ears. You have the most control over them. And so even if they're trying to buck or jump around, if you can control their head very well, you can control them easily. So this horse that I got, when I got on him, the herder said that he's a little skittish, he can spook at things, but he'll be fine. And so I got on him and he was definitely all of that, like just a little shifty, wasn't really going where I was asking him to go. And was just kind of like, felt very nervous and very kind of like just ready to explode basically. I got probably about 4 miles out of the horse station and he kind of like spooked at something, but the way he spooked, he kind of like scooted his butt up under him, did a tight spin to the left and bucked at the same time. And so it threw me to the right side of him. And then the leather that kept my stirrup on broke. So I lost my right leg, which just threw me off the right side. So I came off with my stirrup and I was like, oh, okay. And the horse took off running. The girl that I was riding with at the time, she like went to chase after him, but he was like gone. She came riding back. She was like, he's too fast. I can't get him. And I was like, don't worry about it. You go ride on. I'll go track him down. So we had a Garmin tracker device with us at all times that we can message like HQ headquarters. And so anytime like anything happens that they should know about, we let them know. So I let them know. I was like, I lost my horse. I'm going to go chase it. Took me 30 minutes. I'd seen the direction he was headed, and I saw like a group of gares, like little homes. And I was like, hopefully he goes there, find some horses he wants to hang out with. Horses are like herd animals. They want to hang out with other horses. Anyways, it took me probably like 30 minutes to get up there. Using Google Translate, I like asked them like, hey, I lost my horse. Did you see my horse? Anyways, we found my horse. He was kind of like halfway up, backed up against a mountain. And through, I was like 3 different families with 3 different vehicles. And then the herder also came out from the horse station that was, 5 or 6 miles away, and a guy on a motorcycle. This horse was just running everywhere it could. And it took us about an hour to finally corral him into like a standstill, basically. So an hour of then trying to like make him stop. Then I finally get him. And so I messaged HQ. I was like, I got the horse. We put a new stirrup leather on. I got back on him, but he had very strong opinions about where he wanted to go. And we did not have the same plan. So I messaged them and I was like, I have the horse. And there were 2 options of like, I could continue riding this horse to the next horse station, or I could take him back to the horse station that was close and get a new horse. And they were like, because he ran so far in the wrong direction, go ahead and get a new horse, which I was very happy about because this horse was not it. Anyways, I was still probably like 4 miles out from the horse station. And so I got on and started riding him, and all he wanted to do was that tight spin and bucking thing. So after like a couple fields, it's kind of, over a couple rises, we were just going in circles. And so I finally just got off him and walked him 2 miles into the horse station. And what was really frustrating about all of that was a lot of people, this was, the second day, and everybody the night before had ended up at the same horse station. Nobody had like progressed further. And a lot of people came in. It was a very hot day, and a lot of them got vet penalties because their horses were overheated. And so starting out that morning, there were a lot, like you can start right in at 7 a.m., but there were a lot of people that because your horse came in too hot last night, you have to wait 2 hours before you can ride. So I was one of the ones that was able to ride out at 7. So I rode out at 7 and I was like, this is great. I'd come in like 10th, 11th place the night before. And so I was like, I'm riding good. This is great. Ride out at 7, spent 3 hours screwing around. And then I didn't actually ride out of there until 10, which was when like the very latest penalties were riding up. So it was very disheartening, but I say all that anything can happen. And there were a lot of other people that they had a horse go lame. They have a horse go, any number of things that are walking miles into the next station, because if the horse gets hurt, if the horse is not right, like you get off and you walk it in. So yeah, there was, I was not the only one having days out there.
Yeah, because we saw that video and our first thought was like, oh, it's a good thing she's a runner if she's, chasing after this horse. And then the second thought was like, oh my God, she's in the middle of nowhere, like by herself, like chasing down a horse. But yeah, knowing that you have a radio, obviously you had enough like service to like post that video and stuff. But like, yeah, that was that was concerning at first.
I did actually have somebody, a well-meaning person, call me probably like 2 weeks before I left to tell me that Mongolia is not safe. It is very dangerous, especially for a young girl like me. And my answer was just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm aware, like everywhere is dangerous. This is an organized event and there will be a tracking link. Like I'll do what I can to stay safe. And it really kind of ground my gears though, that like we ascribe danger and lack of safety to an entire country that is full of like really beautiful, hardworking people. And something that they tell us there is like, there's these horse stations, and at each horse station is a place that we can sleep. Like if you end the day at a horse station, you're covered. But if you were to come into a horse station and you still have 2 hours of riding left, to just sit there at the horse, knowing, because it takes like 3 to 4 hours to get to the next horse station. To just sit there for 2 hours of riding time doing nothing. They encourage you, like, go ride out some. You can either camp out under the stars, or you can ask a stranger to stay in their home. Mongolia is very hospitable and very welcoming. And a lot of us, I think almost every one of us spent nights in random people's homes. All you do is you just tell them, like, I'm in a horse race and I need a place to stay. And they will welcome you into their home. They will feed you their food, barely speaking a lick of English, if any. Like, it's mostly done through Google Translate, but they are happy to serve you food. a lot of them have two gears, and these gears are like, circular yurt-ish things, but they call them gears. A lot of their gears, they'll have like a bedroom gear and like a kitchen gear. And these people will give you their entire bedroom gear and go like sleep on the floor of their kitchen for the night. And that's like, that's the culture there. Like if somebody needs a place to stay, you're welcome to stay. The basic guidelines too were like, don't stay in a gear with just a bunch of men, preferably be with another rider, like basic safety that you would think
everywhere,
of anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I'm like alone in a foreign country, but at the same time, like you said, I have tracking. It's an organized event, and it is a beautiful, welcoming, kind, hospitable country. So
I'm glad you highlighted that too, because there's been so many stories of like, I went to like Iraq, and the people there were like super nice, and like you hear all these horrible things, and it's just I mean, a lot of people are afraid of the U.S. and there's plenty of reasons for that too. So don't judge a whole culture on that. Also, going back, thank God for technology, because I can't imagine doing that without Google Translate.
Oh yeah. Without my Garmin tracker to let them know, like, I don't have a horse. What should I do? All of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, technology definitely changed the game there.
So I know where Mongolia is. What kind of like language is it? Does it like sound like it? Like, what is it? What would you compare it to, I guess?
I would say it sounds loosely Russian, but also very, I mean, it's in between Russia and China. And I would say it sounds kind of like a mix of those two.
Okay. That's what I figured.
It's not a tonal language, which I know Thai is a tonal language, and I want to, maybe Chinese isn't. No, I think Chinese is tonal, where the same word but said with a different tone means a complete different thing.
Yep.
So, but like Russia is not tonal. So I feel like they have a little, I don't think Mongolian is tonal, but they have their own characters, and it's a very, I would say it sounds like a mix of Russian and Chinese is kind of how I would, based on, less harsh than Russian, but not as, I don't know, whiny is just the term I would like, not as, it's somewhere in the middle.
Gotcha. So. You talked about like the competitiveness of this, because obviously it's a race. Oh my God, my cat's puking in the background. Love that.
Oh no.
Come on, Appa. Okay. So like, how competitive is this? Like, and what was your frame of mind going into this? Like competitive, or just here for the adventure?
The common saying in endurance riding is to finish is to win. And that is truly like, again, because you're working with another creature, that anything can go wrong. Like it's not purely up to you to finish or to win. And so they're really big on like, take care of the horse. And if the horse has a day and you have a day, you win, or at least you finish, whatever. There were some people that have trained for this for years, that have spent months in Egypt, that have, you can come and do like academies in Mongolia to ride the horses. So there were varying levels of people that had quit their jobs and trained for months and or years to come in and like do very well at this. There were people that riding is their job. And so I feel like they kind of had like a advantage of like, they do this all day, every day anyways. And then there were people who were kind of just getting back into riding, or, due to injury or different things. Like there was a very large spectrum of the people showing up. I would say I kind of fell somewhere in the middle. I ride multiple times a week, and I like am fit enough to ride as much as I want to. But I definitely do not have the advantage of like, A, quitting my job and training just for this, and B, even like working in horses full time. So I feel like I was kind of in the middle of the road, and I went into it. I guess I went into it wanting to make sure, because a lot of what takes, because we started with 42 people, and I think like 23 people finished. Oh, wow. So almost a 50% dropout rate. And almost all of the reason that people dropped out is due to their own personal issues, injuries, discomfort, sickness, whatever. So I think my biggest thing was like, I need to stay healthy. You get a new horse every 35K, but I'm the same person the whole way through. So I went into it very much wanting to like take care of myself. And I wanted to stay safe, I guess. So every time you draw, the way you get these horses is just a blind draw. You reach into a bucket, and whichever number it is, each of the horses are numbered and you get that horse. You have the option to redraw 3 times because some of these horses are obviously more tame than others. And so if you're fearing for your life, if this horse is bucking around, won't let the herder get on it, like maybe redraw and get a horse that you can get on. And so I started the first couple days with like, is this a good horse? Is this tame? And I think that kind of bit me in the foot because you really want the ones that are a little bit spicy because they will run faster and harder and further.
Gotcha.
So I guess by the time I got to like days 7, 8, 9, 10 and realized like, oh, now I know how to ride these horses. Even if they're a little spicy, they're bucking around, they're rearing up, like I can handle that. It's not that big of a deal. And I also felt like I kind of played it too safe because I felt really good. I felt great. Like I was feeling better as the days went on. So yeah, I went into it wanting to like finish healthy, and I came out of it wishing I had like, I guess, gone a little harder and maybe not taken care of myself quite as well. So.
Fair. So you said that some people like were dedicated like a whole bunch of time and effort into this. Is there prize money on the line for this? Like, no, okay, just curious.
0 prize money. You finish. Yeah,
just for the love of the game. And then were any of the people like too competitive? Like any assholes out there? Like what was the community like overall?
Community was great. A lot of for the most part, and they emphasize in the briefings like take care of each other. I felt like it was a very much they say in some ultra races it's less about like the competitors versus each other and it's everybody versus the course. And I was like, that's what that felt like to me. There was definitely what I found interesting is some people made choices early on to like, we're going to be competitive and go hard. And then they wore out in a couple of days and got spit out the back. And so that was an interesting, like, the more you like stuck with people and helped people and like, didn't, it wasn't as much about like, got to ride fast and try to win. You did well, like taking care of other people and being a nice person. There were definitely some stories that, not everybody was there to like make sure everybody else was safe. But for the most part, a lot of good people trying to take care of people. So that's great.
And what was your strategy with riding with other people? Like, were there any people that you knew going into this, or were they all friends that you made over the course of the event?
I had connected just via social medias to 2 people before going into it. The general idea is like your horses are herd animals. And so especially if you have a slow horse that is less inclined to like want to go fast, you're better off riding with another person and horse because the horses will like go with other horses.
Gotcha.
That and the navigation aspect to have another person to like, hey, I think we should like head this way some and get on this road over here, to have the feedback of like, yeah, that sounds good, or no, how about let's try this? Like that was really helpful too. So you got, to ride with at least one other person was definitely very beneficial. I wasn't ever like trying to ride with people, but if I rode out of a station with people, I kind of stuck with people and it served me well. Like I really enjoyed that. So
gotcha. Yeah. Cause it's gotta be tough to like gauge the pace of like the rider, also the pace of the horse itself. So I can't imagine how like difficult it'd be to like, if it happens, it happens, but yeah.
Very much. Yeah. That's what I said. It's like, you ride the horse you're on. And if you have a fast horse, bye, we'll see you later. Maybe. So.
And then going back to the views, I know that one of your stories was like, it was like going into like a desktop screensaver, just like these beautiful views. Is that how the terrain was like the whole time?
It was mostly, pretty grassy. I mean, it's a lot of, grass and kind of like rolling hills. There were definitely some more like rocky cliff areas. There was one station where we got like fresh horses, and as we're heading out, you kind of go up this hill and the horses kind of took off, and there were some vehicles there that were, taking video. They were going fast along. So the horses, when another horse is running fast, they try to race them. So you get 2 horses and they're going real hard. So we kind of like came up to the top of this hill, and then we topped out over the hill, and it was a downhill on like a very rocky, technical downhill. So yeah, it was a little bit of everything. Like we rode by, I mean, there were like cliffs and mountains, and that would, be more rocky, but then you drop down into a valley and it's just, dirt road and green grass forever. So yeah, it was a little bit of everything, which was really cool.
Yeah. What was the temperature like? You said it was like pretty hot, but like what is hot?
It was very hot in the mid 90s the first like 3 days. And then it started cooling down some and a little bit of rain. It really did not rain until the very last day, when we got like 30 to 40-minute downpours throughout the last day. But other than that, like it was very hot, and then it started cooling down to where it was like highs in the 70s, 60s, 70s. And then that last day was still high in like 60s. The sun would come through, but then you'd get rain, sideways rain for 30 minutes. But yeah, it was very hot the first couple of days. They said it was the hottest year they've ever had. So,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, at least being from Texas, at least you kind of somewhat used to that.
Well, and they made a big deal in the medic briefing. They were like, the people that do the worst are the people that are from hot places that think I'll be fine. So they were like, do not take this lightly. Drink a lot of water, drink a lot of electrolytes, take care of yourself. But yeah, I was able to handle it.
That's good. I'm a wicked baby when it comes to the heat. So that definitely would have been a factor among so many other things.
Just a few other things.
Yeah, just a few. What's something that like you wish you could tell yourself, like having finished now, like what's something that advice that you could have given to yourself at the start? You mentioned like pushing a little harder maybe, but
yeah, I'll be honest, I did not know that navigation was a piece of this going into it. It was a little bit of a learning curve, but not much. But I do wish that I had spent a little more time navigating, I guess. But honestly, that wasn't really that much of a factor. But that was definitely like at the start line, I was like, okay, this is going to be a learning curve. The biggest thing I would tell myself, I don't know. I feel like who I was then handled everything just fine. Like I did everything exactly the way I would have wanted to the first time. If I were to go back again now, I would change a lot of things. Mostly being, ride faster, ride harder. And, I guess a level of like, have more confidence in the horsemanship that you do have, because there was a part of me that's like, I've never broken a horse. I've never gotten on, like put a first ride on a horse. And like, there's people there that have trained horses for like their entire lives. So there's a little bit of me like, I don't think I can really handle it. But now I'm like, no, it's not, like, just takes a bit of confidence and a little bit of know-how, and I could have handled any horse there.
Yeah.
So
did anything else go wrong, I guess, in terms of like, that the horse that kind of bucked you off, or like any sort of like equipment malfunctions or anything like that?
That stirrup gave me issues. So there's the stirrup itself. They call it a stirrup iron. Mine were like the stirrup shape itself, and then the stirrup leather is what attaches it to the saddle.
Okay.
So that right stirrup, the leather broke, and I had to borrow a new one to like put the stirrup back on. I think it was day 3 I started riding, and I heard a sound like on my right stirrup, and my stirrup is basically like, it comes up, it goes around the leather, and there's 2 bolts on either side so it can rotate along the leather, but it holds it together basically. And both of those bolts were gone. So it was just like a screw in there that was holding it on the leather, and one side of it was like coming off of the screw. So I used duct tape and then a zip tie to like keep it on. And this was coming out of some of its days and some of its horse stations, like the way I've kept track, but this was coming out of horse station 3. So it was like pretty early on. And the duct tape and the zip tie worked fairly well, except that screw that was in there that's like holding it on the leather would slide and start sliding through. And I was like, if I lose that screw, the stirrup just drops off. And so I would have to, I would like have to keep an eye on it all the time. And in between each horse, at least sometimes during, I would have to make sure that screw was in the middle. And I kept on asking at horse stations, like, hey, are there any bolts I can put on this? And they would kind of ask, but no, like it never happened fast enough to where I was like, I'm going to keep riding. It wasn't until horse station 12 that I finally got some screws on there and like had a functioning stirrup again. So that was my other like biggest malfunction. Other than that, I got kicked a couple times. There was one night I was with a couple people and we were going to camp out. And when you camp out, when you're not at a horse station, like you're responsible for your horse overnight. And so we hobble them, where you like tie both of their front, they have like a little hobbling, it's called a hobble, but you use this rope to basically tie their 2 front legs and one of their back legs together. And they can still kind of like hop around and move slightly and eat grass. Like they can graze all night, but they can't take off running. Okay. And so we were going to camp. We were in between stations. We had asked like 3 gears if we could stay. And it was one's like, if there isn't a man home, they can't have a man in the home. And we had a guy with us. Anyways, like they weren't very receptive. So we're like, we'll just camp out. We'll camp out on the, under the stars. So as we're going to hobble our horses, one of the girls' horses would not let us get his back foot to put it in the hobble. He was kicking. And so the one of the other girls tried, and she came over and it kicked her and got her watch. And she was like, oh, like that was not good. I'm glad I got my watch instead of my wrist. So cool. And I was like, let me go. Like, I'm good at dodging kicks. I've had horses kick at you, especially if you're like holding their leg, though. There's not much they can do. So I go in there and I'm like, I got this. That horse, like all he wanted to do was kick people, and it kicked very accurately. So I went in there. I felt like my legs were pretty much out of the way. I was like reaching my hand, and he kicked me pretty hard on the shin. And after that, I was like, nope, not touching that horse again. So I got kicked by him. And then there was another time that while I was riding, this guy that I was riding with, his horse kicked my feet 3 different times. And like very specifically my feet while I'm riding with him. And there was one time at a trot, which is kind of like a jog, he kicked at me, and we are like, what happened there? Like, I was kind of like, that was my foot. It was mostly protected by the stirrup, but I was like, okay, like that wasn't cool. And then another time at a canter, which is more like it's a run. And at a run, he managed to like kick specifically my foot again. But yeah, other than that, a couple kicks, and the stirrup, but other than that, like everything was kind of smooth sailing.
What other like animals are out there too? So you said like camping under the stars. Were there any animals you had to be like worried about, or?
There's horse herds everywhere. So there's horses there's horses, cows, sheep, goats. There's dogs by the gares, which are definitely like they will run out and try to chase you. And then we also saw camels, which was kind of random and unexpected, but like huge herds of camels just out there. So, and then there were a lot of eagles, golden eagles, I think is mostly what they were. But we saw like golden eagles trying to who'd swoop down and try to get a fox, or there were eagles chasing other birds. That was really cool. And then a lot of vultures, massive vultures, just kind of hanging out. So
those are ugly. Wouldn't like those. What, I guess to highlight the fact that like riding a horse isn't like riding a bike. Like there's explain like the physical exertion that goes into riding a horse, especially exponentially this kind of distance.
Yeah. You kind of think like, oh, you're sitting, like how much, and they're doing all the work. How much work is it? You have to stay in the saddle. You have to, what I kind of see it as is like, there's dynamic movements and there's static movements, where like dynamic is like actively moving. Static is more like a hold. And that's what it is. We're riding for 12 hours a day, and it is like a static, actively engaging to stay in the saddle. When a horse is galloping, their gait smooths out and you can kind of sit on it. And it's a lot less like, it takes a lot less work to stay in it. But when they're trotting, they are bouncing up and down. And so even if you're going to sit that trot, you have to, it's a lot of leg and core engagement to basically like keep you in there. What most people do is you kind of stand up in the stirrups though. And when the horse's back rises, it's a little bit of a sit. And when the horse's back drops, you're standing. So you're basically standing as the horse is kind of trotting underneath you. So it's a lot of just like, basically like leg strength, like hold. You're just like constantly on that. And then your core to keep you upright, to keep you like, it's a lot of core work.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting too is like, what I found interesting was there's so much like mental involvement of like gauging this horse, where this horse is at. You have to kind of guess what he's thinking. You have to kind of like, you have to be like very aware of the horse's emotional and mental state. Right. And then you're also navigating the whole time. And so you're constantly making choices on like, do I take this line? Do I take that line? Like, So between that, it was like, you're physically just on, and then also very mentally on. And so, you think like, oh, sitting on a horse for 12 hours, like no big deal. Like I was very ready to sleep at the end of 12 hours of riding every day.
Yeah, so. No, absolutely. Core is the first thing that I thought of, just like trying to like stay on the horse with the bouncing and the shifting and everything like that. So that's definitely something that I could see.
A lot of stability.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is this something that you would want to do again? Or are there other events like this in other countries? Or what are your thoughts on this like sport, I guess?
Yeah. 5 days in, I was like, this is good when I'm done. About 8 or 9 days in, I was like, I kind of want to come back. There is nothing quite like this, as far as I know. This, the Equestrianists, the name of the people that put this on, they do something sort of similar down in Argentina. They call it the Gaucho Derby. It's 500 kilometers. but the horses there are very different. The terrain is very different. You're doing a lot of like walking up and over mountains, and the horses there are much more chill and tame. So I really don't think there's anything quite like this, honestly, anywhere. And this is the event for me. Like, I love the speed, the like almost like the race tactics, like having the decisions you have to make, and the wildness of it.
Yeah. Awesome. So and also I also wanted to highlight, because 1,000 kilometers means nothing to most people. 621 miles, which is just, I can't conceptualize that distance at all, which is.
What's funny too is like neither could I before going there. And then it's so wild. You get on these horses and you think like you don't really even, it takes like 10 or 15 miles for this horse to like chill out some. And then you have another like 10 miles of riding. And then it's like another 3 to 5 into the station. And you're thinking more about like slowing down and getting off it, to where, riding 25 miles was no big deal. When you get down to like 15K left with this 9 miles left, it's like, oh, that's the home stretch. Like, and to ride, 3 horses a day, 20 to 25 miles each, you're riding 60 to 70 miles a day, just felt like, yeah, cool. And it was just so wild, like how warped my sense of like time and distance became. Because when I realized I was like, 30K was 30 to 35K, like, okay, we got a long ways to the station. Once you hit 15K, it's like, oh, we're like close to home stretch. Once you hit 10K, which is just 6 miles, it's like, oh, we're almost done. And it's just, the distances and the times were just, I realized several days in, I'm like, when did, 15K, another 9 miles, feel like we're almost there? Like, when did that happen?
I feel like that has to be like part of like your endurance background, like that part of your brain of like chunking things in that way must have been like super beneficial for you.
Probably.
Yeah.
Definitely translating Ks to miles. I was doing a lot of that the entire time.
Yeah, I bet. So one of the first ways I found out that you were actually pursuing this race too was Austin created a GoFundMe, which raised a lot of money. So real quick, how did it feel? You've been no stranger in helping people, whether it be volunteering, pit crew, like all the things you've done to help the community, but to have the community in turn like help you raise thousands of dollars. How did that feel?
That was really incredible. And I was not expecting it, and really, really like, it really meant a lot. There was a very large cost associated with this. I was able to get some companies to help me, which was huge.
Nice.
But I had a lot of friends and people that like, can we help you? Can we support you? And I'm so reluctant to ask for money for help, because I'm like, everybody has so much going on. And like, to me, I'm like, yes, this was like a big, venture. It was a great like challenge, but it's like, it's my thing. Like, I wouldn't expect anybody else to get behind that. So it was really cool to see that, like, I guess it's just one of those things, by me doing things that I find challenging and difficult and hard, and like, growing and, pushing myself as a person, that it is, as much as it feels like a very personal thing, it is really, I don't take into account probably enough, like how much that impacts other people. And I think that was really neat to see that, like, I do this because it's something I'm really passionate about. And like, I like really believe in getting the most out of life as possible. But what I really, really want to see is other people finding the growth and the, the adventure, the discovery that I have found through challenging myself. And it was really cool to see that, like, I don't have to go tell people, like, do something hard. Like, just by me doing that encourages other people to do that. And for them to experience even just a fraction of the things that I have like learned and experienced is by far the coolest thing for me. So, to see that, like, to me, I'm like, this is just one thing in a world of so many other things that people need help with and people want to pursue and do. But I don't take into account that, like, I mean, all I want is for other people to find as well, but it's hard to like find an avenue, I guess, and like an avenue for encouraging that. And this was a really big reminder that, like, just by me doing that and by bringing other people along for that does do exactly what I want to do, of like encourage other people to do hard things too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it was really
leading by
cool.
example, right?
And along those lines too, I rode with a girl from England for a bit, and she had done a 50 miler. And she was like, 100 miles always seems so long. And I told her, I was like, if you can do a 50 miler, you can do a 100 miler. And she just messaged me today to say that she signed up for her first 100 miler.
Hell
so
yeah.
kind of on the other side of like horse people into now ultra stuff. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great. And so the was raised $5,311, which is like, that's so cool.
Huge.
And like, I thought it was going to be like a whole bunch of like little donations. Looking through, there's some big donations. Like
some people
from anonymous
did way too much. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to highlight that, which I think is so good that, you know, the community came to support you as well. Could you like highlight the companies that helped you in turn too? Like who were the ones that you reached out to? How did you get connected with them?
It was more like personal companies, just like local companies here,
cool.
that just kind of like supported. So there wasn't a lot of like, I was just able to like get some help through that, but it's not really a like, it was an interesting because it wasn't really like a sponsorship per se. It was just more of a like, our company will support you. So
that's great.
Yeah. Just local people here.
Yeah. So this huge adventure out of the way, another massive adventure coming, some might say a bigger one, moving to Canada, Great White North. How you feeling about that?
Really quick before we leave Mongolia.
Yeah.
One of the biggest highlights at the end of the race, they gave out awards, like they recognized some of the top finishers, some of the top vet scores, navigate, like it was just kind of some fun awards. And I got an award for being the most Mongolian. Apparently one of the Mongolian vets there like really wanted to give me this award. And the reason being was I can hobble and mount a horse like a Mongolian. I act like a Mongolian woman in a ger, which I have no idea what that means, but and then the final thing was that I ate 3 bowls of their soup. So I'm pretty sure it was mostly just an eating award, but I will take that to my grave. Awesome. And I think that to me like summed up a lot of like I went there and I like fully enjoyed every bit of the Mongolian culture. So to get the most Mongolian award and those be the reasons, I was like, yeah, it's pretty great.
That's
the food was amazing. So I think it won me an award.
And actually, like what was the finished experience like? Like finishing the race, like was there fanfare? Like what was it like being done with the event there?
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, there's all the people have already finished and people's friends and family can come to the finish line. So it's a really cool, like when you finish, they give you some, it's like some kind of mare's milk cheese curds or something like that. Okay. So they kind of serve that and they kind of gave a blessing. And me and the 2 guys that I finished with, like finished in the rain. And so their little blessing was like, we have a blessing that if you finish in the rain, it means blue skies ahead. So that was kind of a fun, like, okay, I'm glad we finished in the rain then. But yeah, you have to like make sure your horse vet checks out. So you have to make sure they pulse down. But it was I would say it was like pretty low key. Like it was a very, it was of the year personal accomplishment, but it's also at the end of 10 days. And so first thing I did was go take a shower. But then it was really cool. I felt really great after not running for 10 days. I was like, I need to go run. And like, so I went for a run that evening and that's when I was kind of able to like process more of like, I kind of had these, it was just really cool to think about like what I actually accomplished. Like that's huge to ride that long, that far on those kinds of horses. Like it was just such an insane thing to like A, take on and then B, finish. And I come back to a lot, like I feel like so much of what I do and the ways I challenge myself and the ways I push myself are like so antithetical to like where I come from. And it's always like it's just something I kind of like always carry with me of like nothing in my past, in my childhood says I should have been here. Literally nothing at all. But then what was cool to think too is like all these other 40 people that took this on also come from some kind of background of like literally nobody's background says go run, ride 1,000 kilometers across Mongolia.
Right.
So it's really cool to kind of like think about like how cool this is and like how cool to be surrounded by, or to be, to have done this with 40 other people that are like really doing something out of the mold and challenging and hard. So yeah. It was neat.
Did you get time to, let's say sightsee? Obviously you saw a lot of sights, but like experience like the city life at all when you were out there?
I was because of my delay in Istanbul, I missed my day in Ulaanbaatar. But I was able to spend a little bit of time like walking around Ulaanbaatar the evening after we got bad because it's a 6 to 8 hour drive out to where we were riding from Ulaanbaatar. So after getting back, I was able to kind of walk around some. There was a Japan festival in Mongolia happening there in downtown. So kind of walked around there some. It was a very, it was, it was a large city, but I think it was really neat to see that like it didn't, large cities, like they have so much life and energy and things going on. But I feel like in the States, at least, there's also like, it's kind of dirty and it's kind of grungy and it's, not safe. And there's like so much going on. It's almost like, things need to chill down. I didn't go in like downtown, but even just like from where I was with like this central square where they're having this big festival, it felt like very low key, even though, half the population, there's plenty of people there. It just felt very like clean and I don't know, like safe and just kind of, clean and safe, I guess which sounds very like, I don't know. But it was neat.
Not typically how you would describe a city, though. Like I think of New York, I think of Boston. Like love Boston, but also hate it for some similar reasons too. It can be nasty sometimes. So
you're right. So that's what it was. It's like you're in a large city with a lot of people, but it still felt very like nice.
Yeah, which epic transition. The last time I was in a city that was like beautiful and clean, Montreal, Canada. So moving to Canada, away from the United States, you're no stranger from like moving. Obviously, it's a significant move from Texas to Colorado, but like going to Canada, what are your thoughts going into this change?
It's going to be a big change. I'm very excited. I'm moving on Monday and then we're getting married on Friday. So,
oh, Jesus. I didn't, I knew you were engaged. I didn't know that was coming so soon. That's super exciting.
It's very small, very low key, but I'm really excited about what that will bring. I will not be a nanny anymore. And I can kind of take my time finding a job up there. So it feels like a very like just wide open horizon of I can kind of do anything I want, anything that there is a chance. We're about an hour from Banff and Lake Louise, which is like the most beautiful parts of Canada.
Oh, cool.
It's the Rocky Mountains of Canada, and they have all the like pristine blue lakes, the glacier lakes up there. So there is a connection that Austin has with a horseback like guided tours out there. So I may be a horseback riding tour guide. I don't know. So I'm like really excited for like the next step, but I don't really know what to be excited about yet other than getting married and finally being in the same country as Austin. So
definitely another adventure. So it's going to be like Western Canada then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like due north of Montana. It's just north of Montana.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
And so you have Glacier National Park. There is also a Canadian Glacier National Park, and the Rocky Mountains like continue up into Canada. So.
Right. Oh, cool. Yeah. That's exciting. And we love Austin. So I keep thinking about the time when Katelyn was talking about how there was some athlete that like screwed over everybody, and you're like, oh my God, it's not Austin, is it? And we're like, no, Austin's one of like the nicest people. It would never be Austin. What are you gonna miss most about Colorado though?
I'm gonna miss my mountains. I have a week here and I'm not working. And so I did my last 14er yesterday. I did my little scrambling boulder, the flat iron, a couple times this week. But doing that 14er yesterday, I was like, I've hiked all the 58 tallest peaks in Colorado.
Nice.
And I've spent time in each of the ranges, like extensive time. And I just feel like I've spent a lot of time like getting to know Colorado and exploring it. And they feel like my mountains, and I am sad to leave my mountains, but that and the community of people here are just fantastic. The people that I train with I'm surrounded by a lot of other people that work really hard and really try to like do their best in everything. And so I'm going to miss that.
Yeah.
I'll find more mountains. I'll find more people, but it's not going to be the same as here. So.
That's fair. Well, I had the opportunity to go back out to Colorado not too long ago for a concert, and we drove to Pikes Peak, and I can't imagine like hiking up that. And we met up with Mendoza for a little bit too, and he was talking about how it's actually easier to hike it than it is to drive up it because you have more time to acclimate. I don't know if I believe that, but yeah, it's no joke. Those are you're high up there.
Yeah. And I love it.
Yeah.
It's been
Awesome. What else do you have planned for the rest of the year? Obviously, wedding and everything. That's super exciting. Any events, or are you just kind of taking it easy, seeing what life brings you?
We will be doing a few high rocks coming up. I think we're starting in Salt Lake City at the end of September. We are doing Hunter's Ultra Relay again, the Crest 127. We are going to do a fast, basically like a running, I don't know, they call it's like a fast packing trip in South America. That's going to be it's kind of our second honeymoon in October. And then other than that, I think mostly High Rocks will definitely still be doing a bunch of stuff.
Gotcha.
But I guess it's honestly High Rocks you have to plan so far in advance. That's the thing that's most planned out so far.
Yeah.
So.
Luckily, I did doubles with Joe Rucco, and he was able to acquire a ticket because those are impossible to get.
It is having a moment. That's for sure.
Yeah. I good for them, but I also wish it wasn't such a pain in the ass. But because I went to New York City and it was like a 10-day event, and they were still all sold out. Couldn't get a spectator pass or anything. It was
it's crazy.
Nuts. Any people that you'd like to thank?
Everybody that supported me financially, verbally, emotionally, all of it. I had so many amazing people that were just like so supportive and kind, especially Austin. I actually messaged him. I had that phone conversation about like, it's dangerous, it's not safe. I actually messaged him after the medic briefing where they like emphasized how unsafe physically it is to ride these horses, etc.
Right.
And I kind of told him then I think I messaged him. I was like, this is actually like, this can be pretty dangerous. Like, I hope hope things go fine. And his response to me was, well, please come home safe. And then he said, you're the strongest and most resilient person I know. I know you'll handle it just fine. So biggest thank you to him for being so supportive and encouraging. He has planned most of our very minimal, but like most of our wedding festivities. He's done all of the planning on that, which has been really nice for me to be able to go off and do my last big thing before we start our life together. So biggest thanks to him. And just everybody else has been so supportive and encouraging and kind. So
yeah, love it. And where can people follow you on social media if somehow they're not already?
Yeah, Instagram, Kris Rugloski. That's where it's at. Although it will be changing to Kris Azar in a couple of weeks.
Okay,
so.
That's a question I should have asked too. That's exciting. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Kris, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and congratulations on doing such an epic journey. So much different than what you've done before. Really impressed, really proud. You did awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Kris, for taking the time to come on the show, and even more so for saying that you listen to episodes once in a while. That honestly made my day.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, which we kind of knew that because I think Will said, Will said that she said she was listening to like the World's Toughest Mudder episode, and we were talking to Chris Mendoza, and she was thinking about the song. But yeah, it means the world when people listen to the show, so I appreciate that. For related episodes, though, she's been on the show quite a bit. So
she's a badass.
I know. There's so many reasons to have her on. So episode 247 was apparently the first time we had her on. That was OCR World Championships 3K with elites. 248 was OCR World Championships 15K with elites. 280 was for her own episode, Kris Rugloski on High Rocks World Championships in Spartan Big Bear. That's when she did like both in one weekend, which was nuts. Then episode 300, OCR World Championships 15K with elites and vendors, with live intro, outro, and shadow compilation, blah, blah, blah. 308, World's Toughest Mudder with Mark Gaudet and first woman to hit 100 miles, Kris Rugloski. I don't know why I didn't separate that and make those two different episodes. Spoiled, I guess,
right.
with interviews at that time. 342, Spartan Poconos 3K audio and interviews with elites. 345, Kris Rugloski on winning the Grit Games. And then most recently, which was still a while ago, this was overdue, 358, World's Toughest Mudder 2023, Part 1, Community Dinner and Race Day Interviews.
Awesome. Thanks, Kris. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast player, maybe? Is that what comes next?
Yep.
We are Obstacle Running Adventures on all of the podcast players.
Yeah. You can support us over on Patreon for as little as $5. Nope, as little as $2. As many as $10. We greatly appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Coming up next, not sure. We'll see what interests Katelyn and I. There's not as many things going on right now that makes my socks roll up and down, but I will keep looking because I know there's plenty of stories out there, and we will look to see who else we'll highlight next.
Yeah.
Katelyn, do you happen to have a joke or a quote?
No, I don't. Do you?
I do not, and I didn't think that far ahead, which is okay.
That is okay.
Because it is 11 o'clock at night, and I still got to piece this together a little bit, but that just about wraps it up. My name is Michael Stefano.
And my name is Katelyn Ritter.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
In person. Bye.
Thank you for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms
so you don't miss our future episodes.
We would greatly appreciate it if you write a review.
Reach out with feedback on social media.
And most importantly, share the show
with a friend or family member.
Our intro song was Streaker by Straight Up.
And our outro music is I'm Paul by The Best.
Oh, wow. 500. Is that for 500 episodes?
Yes. Yeah.
I haven't caught up yet, but I did see there was a 500. So
that means a lot. Yeah. It's wild to think of. Everyone's like, hey, we'll see you at 1,000. I'm like, I don't know about that.
That's now, how many years have you been going so far?
Started in 2017. So
9 years.
6, 9 years. Yeah.
Another 9 years.
I don't know. I went in the room to see if Lucy was still there, and I didn't see her, and I panicked, but she was there.
Where was she?
Nope, she was there. She was under the covers.
Oh, did she do that herself?
No, I made the bed over her because I was trying to get stuff done and she was in my way.
Oh, is she that tired?
I don't think I've seen her this tired in a very long time.
What the heck? You think she's okay?
I think I wore her out. I took her to Lake Rico, so there was like elevation.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it was great. Her little legs were moving, but yeah.
Wait, I just got home. Do you want to see Lambo?
Of course.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
You didn't see Appa when we were recording, did you?
No, I was driving. Hi, Lammy. Oh, Lammy. I'm on the phone. I'm on FaceTime with Mike. Say hi, Lamb.
Hey, Lambo.
He's coming down the stairs. Hold on. Say hi.
I hope he doesn't look for me. That's always so sad.
I think he is looking for you.
Love you, Lambo.
Okay, I will let you go. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Drive safe.
Sounds good. Love you.
Love you too.